Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
I had so many church people coming up to me, and one gal said, I heard about your drinking problem, and you need to stop drinking.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Sandy Lawrence claims her devil costume was ripped because of someone else's strict religious views. She's suing Deborah McKenzie in the amount of $350. Ms. McKenzie claims she was only trying to protect the plaintiff.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. Ms. Lawrence, you are into this role-playing anime thing, from what I understand?
Yes, sir.
That's your thing?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
And something happened to a costume.
Mm-hmm.
And you think she intentionally damaged your costume?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. McKenzie, you're saying no?
Correct. I didn't mean to do this.
It was an accident?
Correct.
All right. And how long did the two of you had a relationship in terms of knowing each other?
We've been knowing each other for a couple years. We met at the dorm at the university, and I was looking for a roommate, and she was looking for an apartment.
You all didn't have any problems living together?
Well, we did a little bit, but I let that go.
Okay.
Because I needed a place to live.
All right. What was the extent of your relationship? You did your thing?
She did her thing. I did my thing.
All right.
I like to party. I like to have fun.
We
I
like to party.
Yes, I'm young. It's like an impressionable time in my life.
All right.
I mean, I get
and
good
you're not
grades.
so much out on the scene?
Well, Your Honor, I spend most of my time studying and working and
Okay.
hanging out with my church group.
Okay. You have a more of a spiritual path that is not so much being out there.
She has told me several times how I'm such a big sinner, and she has invited me to church several times, and
Yes.
I ultimately gave
when people
in.
invite someone to their church, that's actually, to me, it seems like that's something pleasant, that's something affirming. Would you like to go to church with me? I mean,
Yeah, it's good, but
you
she's
felt
just
like she was
so
judging you.
judgmental.
Okay.
Yeah, in regards to my lifestyle. Just because I don't live my life the way she does, she really badgers me about going out, drinking, having fun. I'm just doing what all school
You just doing
girls.
you, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing me.
Well, Your Honor, I was not really telling her that she was a sinner. All I did was say, hey, maybe,
Yes, you did.
maybe you
No,
could
let me
come
hear it
out
say.
with me, you know,
Maybe
to
she could do
church
what?
and meet some nice people. So naturally,
slow your roll.
Naturally, I talked to the people at my church because we're like a church family, and I told.
And she told them all of my business.
Well,
That's
Your
what she did. Because
Your
when
Honor.
I went to church with her, Your
Oh,
Honor.
you did go to church with her?
I did. I ultimately, because I wanted us to hone our relationship. I think our relationship is important, and I really wanted a chance to get to know
And
her.
what did you think of the service when you went?
Oh, the service was good,
You
but
are funny
I had,
to me.
I had so many church people coming up to me, and one gal said, I heard about your drinking problem, and you need to stop drinking. And I'm like, where did you get that from?
That's a
I
church
was
you
like,
want to go
so, Your Honor,
I
I was
understand.
so upset about it, and I just had a bad
you were like,
feeling
I'm
about
done,
it.
huh?
No, yeah, because I couldn't trust her. Like, why are you sharing my business with your church? Why do they need to know that?
That's
Well,
actually a good question.
Your Honor, they noticed that I was coming into service, and I was looking very tired. I had bags under my eyes, dark circles, and they were wondering what was going on with me. So I told them a little bit about my life.
And about mine.
Okay. It now makes sense to me because you decided, was it for Halloween or was it for this cosplay thing that you were doing?
It was for a cosplay convention.
That's your jam.
And
That's what you like to get into. Go
I
into
do,
this.
and both of us, we are anime fanatics.
You're an
and
anime fan too?
I love cartoons.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity for us to go to this convention. They didn't have alcohol. It was just a place where people dressed up in anime costumes or
And you decided
DC
to go
comics.
also.
I did.
Was this before or after she had gone to church with you?
After she'd gone to church with me, I thought it was a good idea to return the favor
I
as a
agree.
friend.
Okay. And did you get dressed up in a costume?
I didn't. I never had done that before. It was very new to me. So I
You were like,
opted
let me just
out
kind of
this
take it
time.
all in.
Exactly.
You, on the other hand,
Oh, yeah, I got my sexy
we like to
devil
party. Yeah, I know.
costume out. And she was just, she gave me such a hard time
because
about
the costume
purchasing.
consisted of what exactly?
It was a devil costume, Your Honor. Yeah. But it was cute because it had wings, it was sexy, it showed my assets. But yes, it cost $350.
You keep referring to that. Is that one of the wings?
Well, this is the wing that she destroyed.
All right, show it up. Deputy
You
Thomas,
want to
stand
kind
up
of
to me.
see
Let me
this?
see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
devils have wings? Or, I mean, was
Well,
it?
like
I was
something like
like an
this.
angelic devil. So this was
And so
something that
how
has
Deputy
not been
Tom-
Do you want to see
created.
this?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Basically, it looks like it goes like this.
And so it would be attached
Got it?
to something in the front,
The back of
back.
my costume, yes.
and there's a rip.
There is a rip.
Okay.
So what
And
happened?
that's what you're saying she caused damage.
Yes.
by. And
Your
then what
Honor.
else? What is that?
This is the tube dress, and as you can see, it's ripped in the back. You see this hole?
Yes.
I cannot wear this again.
Coming up on America's Court.
I feel someone yank the back of my wing. I fell on the floor, and when I turned around, I see Deborah holding this wing, talking about there was a bee on my wing.
And later,
I'm just trying to understand how something went from 6 hours to 13 hours.
So I was doing everything by myself, and I was going back and forth
Then it
between
sounds
the
like
apartments.
the 13 hours is reasonable.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Sandy Lawrence, who's suing Deborah McKenzie for property damage.
How did her costume get damaged?
Okay, so we're at the convention. We're roaming around the dealer's hall buying unique items that we can't find in any stores anywhere else. We get tired, we get famished. We decide to go out to the
You
food
two
truck.
are such an interesting contrast in personalities here.
We decided to go to the food truck to satisfy our craving there. And so she's there talking to the guy at the food truck for 20 minutes. And I'm standing there in the sun next to her, waiting for us to go somewhere under the shade, and we can hang out and get to know each other a little bit better.
guy
Yeah, he
because
was sexy.
Okay,
and,
all right.
I'm
All
in the
right.
process of looking for another guy. But I was hungry, actually, and I was having a conversation, and he had agreed to give me a free lunch. So, I figured I had to extend the conversation,
Of course.
being that he's giving me a free lunch.
Right.
And so I'm there talking to this guy, and lo and behold, I feel someone yank the back of my wing. I had soda in my hand. It spilled all over my costume. I fell on the floor, and when I turned around, I see Deborah holding this wing, talking about there was a bee on my wing. I'm like, a bee? Why did you have to pull the entire wing to get the bee off of my
you
costume?
are killing me.
Oh.
You are killing me.
She killed me by destroying my outfit.
You saw a bee near her and you couldn't just kind of shush.
Your Honor,
No.
I was standing next to her. I hear this buzz. I look over. I look at her wing. It has a bee stuck to it.
Do you have a thing about bees?
I am afraid of bees, but
Okay.
I know that Sandy here has had trouble with being stuck by a bee at school. She had a panic attack one day, and she had to be rushed to the hospital.
Do you have a thing about bees?
Yes, I'm very allergic. And
Oh, you're allergic to bees?
Yes.
You have a reaction when...
I do.
Okay. then that makes sense to me.
Well, I appreciate the idea, but I don't believe it for a moment, Your Honor. I really don't. Because if you think about it, if a bee was on my wing, first of all, I did not hear her say anything about a bee flying around. And if a bee was on my wing, it wasn't going to sting me. It was on the wing. So if she was so afraid of bees...
Well, then why do you think she did that? Because you kept her waiting for 20 minutes?
Because she wanted to destroy my devil costume because she's so religious and she gave me a hard time about purchasing this devil costume.
And how long have you known her?
I've known her for a couple years.
All right. And in the couple of years that you've known her, has she ever done something that malicious to you?
She hasn't done something that malicious,
Do you
but
think
the fact
that her religious walk is sincere? Do you think she really does believe in her faith?
I think she does believe whatever she believes, and she believes that everybody should believe the way she believes.
And you're telling her you're being ridiculous.
Absolutely,
I
Your
didn't
Honor.
do this on purpose.
I didn't rip off your wings just because you're a
I
devil.
got to tell you, Ms. Lawrence, I don't believe she did that. All right. Do we have the receipts or anything showing the damage here?
Yes, I have the receipt
I'll take all your
of the
evidence.
purchase.
How come you guys couldn't come to some meeting of the minds in terms of how about we split the cost? Or I know you didn't do it on purpose. I know you're, oh, look at you in this outfit.
Sexy, isn't it? Don't tell your wife.
You're a little too fresh here. All right, now, let's take a look at you in that. Okay, I see.
See that?
All right. Based on the evidence and the testimony for this court, before I come down with the ruling, what's the status of the living arrangement? You two still roommates?
No, she moved out 3 months after the fact because I couldn't forgive her after that. I really couldn't, and it was just a strained relationship. We didn't talk.
You know, I find it fascinating that you said you can't forgive her because oftentimes forgiveness frees you. I just want you to kind of marinate on that, all right? But really what we have here is a situation where she has property. She's entitled to be made whole. She paid a certain amount for it. She has to be compensated. You are going to have to pay the $350, ma'am. That is the order. Case closed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $350.
I'm glad I got the money for my damaged costume. I wish Deborah all the best, and I'm really hoping that we can still be friends.
It's unfortunate that we had to settle our discrepancies in court. Hopefully we can mend our animosities and still be friends.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
I'm just trying to understand how something went from 6 hours to 13 hours.
So I was doing everything by myself, and I was going back and forth
Then it
between
sounds
the
like
apartments.
the 13 hours is reasonable.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Jeannie Mullins claims her credit card was charged for moving expenses without her authorization. She's suing Ernest Williams in the amount of $1,500. Mr. Williams claims he only gave the plaintiff a rough estimate. Therefore, the final cost she was charged is correct.
$1,500 is what you want from Mr. Williams because of the misunderstanding between the two of you regarding your moving.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Williams, you don't feel as though you should have to pay this $1,500. She's saying that you didn't have authorization to charge her that much.
Well, I had an estimate,
Yes.
$750 that I sent her.
Yes.
That is indeed an estimate. It ended up being more than that. Total cost was $2,250.
$2,250 above the $750.
$2,250 total.
Right. What stuff did she have?
So she told me she had a bed, a dresser, a sofa, a coffee table. I get there, she has a sectional that's about 2 couches worth. She has 2 coffee tables, 2 dressers, and a king-size bed. So I get there, my estimate...
That doesn't sound like a lot to me. $2,250 sounds excessive to me for that.
I was charging based on, the estimate was $750. I charge $135 per hour.
Did you know he charged $135 an hour?
I did, and I expected it to be around 6 hours of work.
Well, $135 an hour, 6 hours worth of work, would be $810, which is pretty consistent with the $750 quote.
That's typically what it takes to move a one-bedroom, about
How
6
long
hours.
did it take to move
Well,
this woman out of the apartment?
It ended up taking me 13 hours total.
Coming up on America's Court.
I'm just trying to understand how something went from 6 hours to 13 hours.
So I was doing everything by myself, and I was going back and forth
Then it
between
sounds
the
like
apartments.
the 13 hours is reasonable.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Jeannie Mullins, who is suing Ernest Williams for moving expenses.
Why would it take 13 hours for that?
Well, the problem started when I arrived to the apartment complex. She told me that there would be a way to move this. I get there, the service elevator is broken. I asked her about it. It had been broken for weeks and weeks, so I had to use the pedestrian elevator. Anything that could not fit in that elevator, there wasn't a way for me to get that in the elevator, so I had to move this down the 4 flights of stairs. She was on the 4th floor, penthouse
Now,
level.
I had talked...
Is that true? Was it 4 flights of stairs?
Yes, and I had spoken...
Had you already been packed, or were you moving and packing simultaneously?
I was moving and packing.
All right, that's fine.
Even...
I'm just trying to understand how something went from 6 hours to 13 hours.
So I was doing everything by myself, and I was going back and forth
Then it
between
sounds
the
like
apartments.
the 13 hours is reasonable. Because initially, it didn't sound reasonable to me.
But every time that I went back, not a lot of things had been moved, and everything was being wrapped,
Was there
and I asked
something
him
where
not
he had to go 4 flights because a service elevator or something was not working?
Yes, I didn't know that it wouldn't be working at the time.
Okay, so that added to the time frame.
Yes, but also he didn't ask to, like, he didn't tell me before he charged my card.
And the 13 hours, did that also include the travel and then unloading the items at the other location?
Correct.
Yes.
It's for the move-in and the move-out.
Okay.
Which, at the beginning of the move, even if he realized the scenario is different, when he arrived, because he's a mover and he does this for a living, should have been able to say, all right, your things aren't packed up as much as other people's are. You know, the flights of stairs. Okay, so what we're looking at is that this is going to be different than the $750, and communicate that about me.
Fair enough. Did you do that?
I did not tell her the exact amount. I guess I assumed I let her know the hourly rate. I thought
because if I'm thinking I'm paying $750 and I get a bill for $2,250, I'm probably going to have an attitude.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the plaintiff because you're the professional. You have to get the sign-off saying this is going to be this number of hours, and we can still go forward, but I'm letting you know now. You have to get some sort of authorization. You can't just say, oh, take your time, spend as long as you want, and then come up. I mean, the amount is so much higher than what you initially quoted. Now, are you getting the whole $1,500? That's not going to happen. Because some of it was your neglect of not being prepared and the circumstances that he found himself in. You know what I'm going to do in this case? I'm going to split the cost. I'm going to award you $750, so that bill, you would have made $1,500, that you may have still seen a loss and cut into your profit, but I think you're at least entitled to $750. That is going to be your judgment. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $750.
I'm glad I got my $750 back, but I will never recommend this moving company to anyone.
Next time, at the beginning of the move, I'll let the customer know how long I think it's going to take at that time.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter with Judge Ross.
You said she was cheating.
Yes, 100%.
Well, who was she cheating?
Well, see, when I came home and we would be in bed, I would hear text messages on her phone at 2 a.m. and then she wanted to do her own thing. She wanted to, basically didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom anymore.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair. Firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Michelle Scott claims she discovered additional damages to her condo after she evicted the co-defendants for breaking the terms of their lease. Ms. Scott is suing David and Sarah Drew in the amount of $2,012.40. The Drews claim the plaintiff did a walkthrough when they moved out, so they shouldn't have to pay for the additional damages.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties have been sworn, Your Honor.
Third, get up at Thomas. This $2,012.40 is monies that you're saying Mr. and Mrs. Drew still owe you even after they moved out of the apartment.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, what took place here?
My husband and I bought a condominium in 2001 approximately. Mm-hmm. They expressed interest in the condo. They came to visit us, and at the time we were kind of skeptical because they were newlyweds, and we weren't really sure about their financial stability.
You discriminating against newlyweds?
Right. No, we were just worried about financial stability, but...
Oh, I see.
That's
you know what,
all.
that's legitimate.
Right.
Because usually you're struggling those first few years.
Right.
And let me go back to Mr. and Mrs. Drew. The two of you had gotten married and said, we want to live in this particular unit.
Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
And was it for a month-to-month or a one-year lease?
A one-year lease, Your Honor.
And did we get through the entire lease and then go month-to-month, or did we not make it the full year?
They didn't make it the full year, Your Honor.
Why didn't we make it the full year?
Because we were evicted unfairly, Your Honor.
You were evicted unfairly. What was unfair about the eviction?
Well, just the way it took place and the reasons.
Well, Mrs. Drew, what was it? Did you agree with your husband that it was unfair?
Absolutely.
What were one of the reasons that you would conclude that for you it was unfair?
Well, Your Honor, the grounds that we were kicked out on about a pet policy were not even present in the written lease.
What do you mean?
So this whole big argument or misunderstanding was about that we had acquired a pet through his grandfather who passed away. At first, we were uncertain if we were going to keep the pet, and...
When you moved into the place, were you with the mindset that you're going to have a pet?
Absolutely not.
No.
Was there a conversation about pets?
Yes, sir.
Because I don't know of anyone who's not renting that there's not a conversation about a pet. I don't care if it's a turtle, a ferret, a rabbit, a guinea pig. There is conversations because pets bring certain dynamics to a rental property.
Right.
What was the conversation, as you recall it, before they moved in?
They were curious about the pet policy, and at that time, my husband and I explained to them that they could have a pet if they notified us first, paid a pet deposit, and the pet would have to stay outside, because in this case they were inquiring about possible dogs.
Okay.
That the dog would have to stay outside in the patio grassy area in the back at all times.
Okay, let me go back to you. Were you thinking you may be interested in a pet at some time?
Your Honor, it was like skim talk.
All right.
Yeah.
Then that leads me to believe that what Ms. Scott's saying is true. If we are interested in a pet, did you know what the process was going to be in terms of notification, security deposit? The dog would have to stay outside.
Good.
But did that conversation take place?
Your Honor, all of that was unclear to us.
What was unclear?
All of the details.
There are three. Notice, additional money, dog stays outside.
Well, Your Honor, the only reason why we asked about the pet policy is because it wasn't in there at all. So we wanted to kind of confirm that,
Stop.
okay.
You didn't have anything in the agreement about pets?
Not in the original agreement.
Why wouldn't you have that in the agreement?
We had 3 previous tenants, and they never had pets, and honestly, we just never had an issue with it before.
Okay. That's one line on that contract, on that rental agreement. Parties have indicated they're not interested in having a pet. You have them initial it. Because then there's no disputing the fact that there was a conversation about pets, and we're all on the same page, no pets.
Coming up on America's Court.
When were they not good landlords?
When they evicted us over the dog issue, claiming that the house was ruined because of the dog.
And later.
And I hear this loud motor from a plane, and I look up, and it's him flying a plane with a banner attached to it that says, "Reconsider, Julie's a cheater."
Closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Michelle Scott, who is suing David and Sarah Drew for property damage.
Now, the next thing we need to figure out here is, at some point, you found out about the pet.
Yes, Your Honor. About 2 months after they started renting, they called about the toilet. The toilet was on the fritz. My husband went to check out the toilet, and during that time that he was there, he saw a Rottweiler running around the house, around the bathroom. And at that time, he asked them about it, and he called me, and they were very apologetic at the time, actually. They were apologetic about the fact that they hadn't called us, and they told us that his grandfather had died, and they needed somewhere to hold the pet.
Then if she's saying this accurately, then I don't have any reason to believe that there wasn't a conversation beforehand about pets. Because, according to you, she's lying. Because you're saying there was no conversation about pets beforehand.
Your Honor, I didn't say there was no conversation. I said it was a
Was there a
skimmed over
conversation involving pets? Notice, more money, the dog must stay outside.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Did you give them notice once you got the dog?
Not initially, Your Honor.
No. All right. You're in breach. Strike one.
That was the first red flag.
I would take it you were a little annoyed by that.
I was. We were both annoyed by that, but...
But they were paying on time?
But they were paying on time.
And you weren't having any other problems?
Not at the time.
Okay, and then what happened?
About maybe 4 months later, we received another call about the stove. They said the stove had stopped working and the washer and dryer wasn't working. They were basically telling us that everything was collapsing all at the same time, which we found strange because of the fact that the appliances were all fairly new. They were less than 5 years old. They were still under warranty.
Because now we're 7 months in.
About that.
And they're still paying for the dog.
No, they only paid once for the dog.
Why weren't you
I charged
for
them a $200 pet deposit and told them that the dog would have to stay outside at all times.
Oh, you just said pay me one amount as opposed to $20 every month or something
Right.
like that. Okay. And you paid the $200?
Yes,
Your
All
Honor.
right, so we're good so far. You found it strange that these instances involving the appliances seemingly were breaking given what you knew about those appliances.
Exactly, Your Honor.
All right. Did they come and fix the things that were broken?
Yes, Your Honor. There were always good landlords when we asked for them to come and fix the appliances. They always showed up and made sure that happened, and we commend them for that. So we had no issue there.
When were they not good landlords?
When they evicted us over the dog issue, claiming that the house was ruined because of the dog.
You made the decision to evict them based
Yes.
on what?
Well, when they called about the appliances, my husband and I both decided to go and check out the appliances and see if there was anything else we needed to take care of. So we showed up, and the first thing that I noticed when I walked in was the carpet. The carpet was stained. It was ruined. It was torn up. The stairs are also carpeted. That was torn up and stained. But I knew by looking at the carpet that it was the dog.
And for you, that was sufficient to say, we think you're keeping the dog inside. We don't like how you're maintaining and upkeeping the place. We're going to serve you notice.
Exactly. I felt like they'd only been there that amount of time. I was afraid. We were both afraid what was going to happen if we let them stay longer.
And you used the portion, but you said there was nothing in the lease about pets.
Exactly, Your Honor.
So what were you basing the eviction on in terms of the agreement? Because that was more verbal, right?
That was, and then we actually had
I'll take a look.
pet.
Yeah.
We added a pet addendum later.
You did. Did you have
Right.
them sign it?
Yes.
Did you sign the pet
Yes, Your
addendum?
Honor. And we paid her the $200
All
that
right,
she
so the
asked
pet
for.
addendum was also saying that you would be in breach if you didn't comply with the terms and conditions. Correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And they served you with a notice to quit because you didn't follow the lease terms. And the lease terms you're referring to is the dog being inside. Now, you also have here Joe's carpeting. This was the carpet.
And
was
there's
the
no proof that the pet did the damage.
What was
though.
the condition of the carpeting when you first moved in, sir?
The carpeting conditioning was good enough for us We were we were excited. We wanted to just get in there and start our lives.
And this was day one when you moved in.
Exactly.
Because I'm looking at the stained in the wood. It looks like someone's gnawing on the side. What is that?
Exactly. This here is the living room. This is part of the bedroom. And
What's this
kitchen.
blue item? What is that?
That's actually the cable wire that had been chewed up that was hidden behind the couch that I discovered after they moved out.
And the cable wire was in perfect condition prior to them moving in?
Yes, there never been an
Did you
animal
have any
in there.
complaints about the cable wire prior to moving in?
No, Your Honor.
What caused the cable wire to be so chewed up?
Well, Your Honor, we are young and we had parties. Essentially,
Oh, and you guys are having parties and folks are chewing on the cable wire?
Your Honor.
What kind of party is that?
I can't call it, but we like to celebrate. We were excited about our new being married, essentially.
Okay. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel's going to come down in favor of Ms. Scott. She's very credible. She's got the pictures. She's got the before and after. I'm good. Judgment in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $2,012.40. You can say, I will pay you. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendants have been ordered to pay $2,012.40.
I gave these two a chance, and they disrespected me and trashed my home. In the future, I'll have to be more selective.
I'm really frustrated that we have to pay the $2,000.
Maybe next time we'll read over the lease more thoroughly before signing.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
That's outrageous. I mean, that is so extreme. Like, I'll show you, I will kill your joy on your day.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Julie Haggs thought she was going to have the perfect wedding day until she saw a slanderous banner in the sky during her wedding reception. Ms. Haggs is suing her ex-husband, Ben Harmon, in the amount of $3,500. Mr. Harmon claims he did fly a banner over the wedding, but it was not meant to ruin the wedding. It was merely a warning to the groom.
The two of you were in a relationship.
Yes.
And you were married.
Yep.
Yes, unfortunately, Your Honor.
Unfortunately, you decided you wanted a divorce.
Yes.
And you wanted to move on.
Correct.
You were having a hard time letting go.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Very much so, yes.
If your wife says, I don't want to be married to you anymore, you don't have a choice but to let go.
That is true. I don't have a choice anymore, but the circumstance, led to what it was.
Right. Let's talk about that circumstance. You were actually getting married to someone else.
Correct.
He's still fiending over you.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
So, my husband now, we've been married for 2 years. I started dating him after my divorce was final, but we were friends for a while. The plaintiff...
No overlap?
No, Your Honor.
None?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay.
I respect my marriage, and I did honor my vows.
Okay.
I don't believe that. But
you don't believe that?
No.
But what do you... Well, let's deal with what you believe. What do you believe took place?
Well, I believe she cheated all the way through.
Coming up on America's Court.
It's 2 a.m. Somebody's texting you at an inappropriate hour. Who was that person?
I had a friend.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Julie Haggs, who is suing her ex-husband Ben Harmon for $3,500.
Love my family and my child. I left.
That's why you abandoned us.
I'm abandoning them. I'm not abandoning nobody. I never cheated, never did anything, never had relationships, never talked to a woman more than anything.
You said she was cheating.
Yes, 100%.
Well, who was she cheating with?
Well, see, when I came home and we would be in bed, I would hear text messages on her phone at 2 a.m. and then she wanted to do her own thing. She wanted to, basically didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom anymore.
It's 2 a.m. Somebody's texting you at an inappropriate hour. Who was that person?
I had a friend.
Why is a male, knowing that you're a married woman, texting you at 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
I don't need an amen corner. I'm good.
Well, Your Honor, I just got to a point where I was lonely. I started feeling like a single mom, and I wanted a social life, so I found me some friends.
So you had a relationship with this man?
There was no romance involved. I just had friends.
This is not the man you ended up marrying?
No.
There was an issue the day of your wedding?
Yes, on the day of my wedding, he tried to ruin my ceremony. I'm getting ready to walk down the aisle, and I see all my guests, you know, pointing fingers, looking up in the air, people whispering, and I hear this loud motor from a plane, and I look up, and it's him flying a plane with a banner attached to it that says, "Reconsider, Julie's a cheater."
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
Okay, this is outrageous.
And he flew it around for 2 hours, Your Honor. The whole time we relocated to the gazebo.
That's outrageous. I mean, that is so extreme. Like, I'll show you, I will kill your joy on your day.
See, okay, so
I'm going to intentionally do everything I can to destroy your peace and your joy and your serenity as you marry and go on with your life with a new man.
We spent a lot of time planning the wedding
Well,
together.
because the first wedding was a nightmare, huh?
Yeah, it was
according
just
to her,
like today in the courthouse.
according to her,
Finish where you start. Yeah.
According to her, it was a nightmare. To me,
you got married at the courthouse, and that's where you said finish where you started,
Yeah,
and that's where you ended up, in the courthouse.
Yes.
Well, we're 18, 17 years old. I don't have money to be just going to some Santa Barbara
Yeah, but
beach
when you
to
got the money, you forgot where you came from. I was the one there supporting you to become a pilot.
Aren't you a married woman now?
Yes.
To not you, right?
No, not to.
Not to you. Okay,
No, no,
so
no,
why
no.
are we having this conversation? She's married now.
Well, so when we got the divorce, she took my plane.
And is this all the festivities on the beach and
Yes,
with
Your
the
Honor. I was supposed to have
flowers
my
and
wedding
the water
on the beach front.
And this was when this is flying.
Yes.
I got it. You saw it. You were like, that's not. You're gonna learn today, huh?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I get it.
I had to be a public service announcement. Had to.
I get it. All right. And this was the cost of having to move everything and the setup, and that was $3,500.
Yes.
I got it. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, you're suing based on defamation. These are those elements. So, you got your wish. You wanted to get it to her. You did. To the tune of $3,500. That is your judgment. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $3,000.
दिए एक करोड़ रुपए
$500.
Ben tried to ruin my second marriage. He was successful. He got what he wanted. He should pay for it.
I shouldn't have to pay for Julie's wedding. My actions were truthful and she cheated anyways.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studio.